So welcome everyone to Bridging Voice's sixth virtual training in our ALS and communication series. Today's topic, it's actually the second training on the topic of ALS and alternate access. If you're interested in watching any of our other trainings, you can see them on our website or on our Bridging Voice YouTube channel. But today's topic is going to focus on voice control on Apple and mobile devices. So today's agenda, I'm going to just give a very short overview about Bridging Voice. I know many of you know us well and we work closely with you, and you've been to many trainings. It's nice to see so many familiar faces and names, but we have a lot of new people on here too. So I'll give a quick overview about Bridging Voice, and then I'll hand it off to Eddie, who's my colleague who's doing today's presentation. He'll do an overview about alternate access and then take a deeper dive into voice control for Apple and mobile devices. And like I said, we're going to reserve a good chunk of time at the end for Q&A. So please drop any questions you have in the chat as we go along. Next slide. So Bridging Voice, for those of you who don't know us, we are a nonprofit organization, and our goal is to support ALS patients by providing holistic support for all of their technology needs related to communication and alternate access. So we're focused very specifically on ALS, communication, computer access, and alternate access. The challenge we saw as a team when we launched in 2019 was the issue that ALS patients were either not aware of the technology that could help them communicate, or even when they got it, that technology was abandoned because it was too difficult to use and there wasn't enough support for it. So our goal as an organization is to ensure that every ALS patient has access to the support they need to communicate. And the services we provide are all done remotely and free of charge. So we work with over 1,300 PALs in 49 states and I think over 10 or 11 countries at this point. And the services that we provide, as I said, very holistic. It ranges from education in early stage, helping people figure out what technology is right for them, and then providing the training both for ALS patients and their caregivers to be able to get the most out of that technology. And then what our team really excels at is custom solutions. So we work with individual clients to make sure that the technology works for their specific needs, and as their needs change, we're there every step of the way. And we also provide ongoing technical support. So we truly believe that no one should ever be left without the ability to communicate. So any time of day or night, if there is a challenge, our team is there for you. And then lastly, we have a lot of innovators on our team creating unique solutions. We have games that we've created for eye trackers, and bespoke solutions for many patients that we like to get out there to the wider ALS community. So that's us in a nutshell. I'm very excited to introduce today's training, ALS and Alternate Access Part 2, Voice Control on Apple and Mobile Devices. I'm going to hand it over to my wonderful colleague, Eddie Ehrlich, who's an occupational therapist, an assistive technology specialist with us at Bridging Voice, and let him take it away.
Hi, everyone. So welcome to this second part of a series, trainings on alternate access for people with ALS. And this is part of a larger growing collection of videoed live workshops available on the Bridging Voice website and also on Bridging Voice's YouTube channel. Today's topic is specifically voice control, a specific access tool quite popular with PALs. So let's jump right in. I want to define alternate access, and I'll do it in a functional way and just reading straight from the slide. If standard access on a computer is using a keyboard and mouse with your hands, and on a smartphone or tablet, it is tapping or swiping with your fingers, then alternate access might mean using your foot, your voice, head, or eyes to control your computer, phone, or tablet, or it may involve using your hands or fingers in a different way. Alternate access usually involves additional equipment or software. Here are some specific examples to give you an idea of what we mean when we say alternate access. There's quite a range here. These are some popular items for people with ALS. One, replacing the mouse, using a different kind of mouse like a trackball or a trackpad. Number two, using a stylus on a screen instead of your finger. This is a larger diameter, heavier weight stylus that sometimes is easier. Using the sticky keys program in Windows or Mac computers, this will allow you to avoid pressing 2 or 3 keys at once, like Control Z to undo or Shift A to get a capital A. Usually you have to press these keys together. Sticky keys allows you to press them one after the other. A fourth example is entering text by dictation instead of keyboarding. So there's a picture there of Dragon Professional, which is the premier product for voice input on a Windows computer. And lastly, from this list of examples, controlling the pointer, the mouse pointer, with your head or eye tracking. In this case, the picture number 5 is a Kuhazono head mousing, head tracking system, where the user is wirelessly controlling the pointer on an iPad mini and using a breath switch in order to click. Please take a moment to review this diagram regarding alternate access and communication for PALs. As PALs undergo functional changes, we can look at 2 axes. So the vertical axis is the one that describes hand function on the left. On top, the horizontal axis, voice intelligibility, describes how clear and strong someone's voice is. So as a PALS undergoes changes, they may use different alternate access. And so many of you know about eye tracking speech generating devices. So I guess at the lower end and the right extreme of this table, you'll find speech generating devices, and you'll see eye tracking relatively far down on the list, right? This is because this is a solution that people with ALS come to when many other solutions are no longer available to them. In today's training, we'll be looking only at a specific voice input access method for specific devices, that is iPhone and iPad. The reason we're looking at that is because this tool has been making a great positive impact for users with ALS. So voice input is sort of at the top left of this chart. So it's for people experiencing some reduced hand function while retaining good voice intelligibility. In future trainings, we'll look at other options belonging to different categories, such as the use of a stylus or the use of head tracking. Voice control for mobile devices. So here's just a bullet list of what is voice control. Before we begin, I see there are 31 chats at the moment. There are 72 participants. If you use voice control now, or maybe we'll say if you have used voice control or you're using it now, just type yes or something into the chat. We'll tally it up really quick. We'll see it, the chats go up from 31 or 72 participants. We'll see what our tally is. So there it is, going up from 31 to 38. And so voice control is a software voice input tool. It's built into iOS and even Mac devices. So it seems to have gone from 31 to 41. So we have 10 out of 70. So 10, maybe 11 out of 70. So that's 1/7. What does that translate to? 14%, something like that, a little less than that. So we have lots of people who might yet use voice control. So maybe this will get you interested if you're able to do that. Okay, what is voice control? It gives you full control of an iPhone or an iPad by voice. When would you use that? As I said in the previous slide, when weakening hands and arms, but intelligible voice. So what platform does it work on? Apple devices only, iPhone and iPad. Also, Mac has a very similar related program. What is the cost? It's free. It's built into the operating system. So there's nothing that you need to buy. What degree of control does it afford you? It really affords true hands-free control. And I just want to explain what I mean by true hands-free control. So if anyone has ever seen a product advertised as hands-free, and then it's described as all you need to do is push the button on the remote or on the steering wheel and speak. It's hands-free. What did they miss? Push the button on the steering wheel, on the remote, on the screen, right? So true hands-free means that it's always listening. So devices like an Amazon Echo, like Siri, and like voice control are always listening, meaning that you do not need to trigger it with any physical press or activation. And also, to be hands-free on a phone, you need to be able to navigate the phone and you need to be able to dictate text onto the phone. How easy is voice control to use? Very easy. Of all the products that allow you this true hands-free control on any device, this is the easiest. So voice input on an Apple device, we're talking about iPhones and iPads. So there are 3 separate tools on an iPhone or an iPad, 3 separate, distinct voice input tools. We're doing voice control today. It's a full, always listening, hands-free navigation and dictation tool available on any iOS device running version 13 or later. So I want to highlight here that voice control is not Siri, right? Siri follows specific scripted tasks. When you say, hey Siri, and then you answer Siri's prompts, or if you say it all together in one shot, hey Siri, what's the weather? I hope I'm not triggering too many devices out there. Siri usually is customized to a user's voice. So voice control is not Siri. Voice control is not tapping the microphone icon on your on-screen keyboard. That's the microphone icon. That's using text to speech. I'm sorry, speech to text in order to enter text instead of typing with your fingers. The assumption there is that you will type, and then if it makes a mistake, you will dictate, and then if it makes a mistake, you'll clear it with your hand. So it has the assumption of hand use or stylus use or direct selection to tap the icon and then to also clean it up afterwards. To give you a little bit of a specific idea of what voice control is, because this is sometimes quite confusing to people. Is it Siri? Is it the microphone? So please watch this demonstration, this video, and note that there will be no Siri involved in this activity. I'm going to use voice control to navigate to the Bridging Voice website and send an outreach email, all hands-free. I'm going to try to guide you to see what I'm doing by using my mouse pointer to indicate the numbers that I'm choosing on the screen. I'm not clicking with my red mouse. I'm clicking by voice. I'm tapping by voice by saying the numbers. So don't be confused by the red circle in this video. It's only an indicator for the viewer. I apologize, this video has some background noise. There's a whine in the background.
Wake up. Swipe right. Swipe right. Go home. $30. 12. Bridging voice.
And instead of, I'm just going to press the go button.
52.
And now I'm going to choose go to the website.
38.
I'm just going to move around a little bit.
Page down. Swipe up. Swipe up. Swipe up.
And now I'm going to the bottom of the web page.
Scroll to bottom.
There's the link for sending an email.
13. 2.
And I'm going to put in a subject and a message.
This is a test message from Eddie. 10. I am typing a test message. Period. New line. I'm going to send my picture too.
In order
Period.
to send a picture, I have to go
New line.
to attachments.
4.
I can send a screenshot. I can take
5.
a live picture. Here's a live picture of my radiator.
6. 3.
Or I can explore my entire
4.
photo gallery, photo album.
4. Scroll to bottom.
All the pictures are numbered.
11.
And now I'm ready to send.
5.
All done.
Go home. Go to sleep.
So you notice I didn't say Siri once during that entire activity. This is not Siri. This is voice control. And it has a unique feature, similar to Dragon, if people are familiar, the go to sleep and wake up, so that you can put the microphone into pause mode, hands-free, and wake it up, so that if you want to think before you type, that's a good time to use the sleep button or the sleep mode of the microphone. These are the 6 steps to setting up voice control. So we tap on settings. 2, tap on accessibility. 3, tap on voice control, not voiceover, which is the first choice, but voice control. Turn voice control on. For people doing this for the first time on their device, that slider button next to voice control will say set up voice control, so that you have to accept permissions to set up voice control, and there are 2 dialog boxes. It's very quick, only a few seconds. Once it's set up, it's just an on-off slider. Step 5, we're making sure that all the sliders below in the command feedback area are green. Show confirmation, play sound, and show hints should all be on. And finally, last step, 6, you want to tap on overlay and change it from none to item numbers. All right, so item numbers now has a blue check next to it, and you're done. How do you know voice control is on? All right, so there are 2 visual ways to know that voice control is on with these settings. 1, all the item numbers are sprayed across the screen, right? So this is just a fragment of the screen, but you'll have numbers everywhere in black and white. Also, in the top taskbar of the iPhone or iPad, you'll see a blue circle with a white microphone. That's an indication that voice control is on. These are the overall preferred settings. So just you can see almost all 6 steps, if not all of them, in this one shot. So voice control is on the slider. The 3 sliders are on. Overlay is set for item numbers. And you can see that the blue circle with the white microphone is visible in the taskbar, and the numbers are sprayed around the screen. So what we're going to do now is I've done all of this with iPad screenshots. So we're just going to, Nahum is going to join in with his iPhone. He'll share his screen, and we'll just do a quick 6-step setup to set up voice control on an iPhone where the screen is slightly different. So Nahum, tap on settings. And now find accessibility about the center of the screen there, tap there. And again, don't be fooled by the first choice, voice over. you want to go 10 down to voice control. Now you've used voice control before, so you can just tap the slider next to voice control and slide it on. Okay, now just notice, by the way, Nahum is running iOS 16. So if your phone doesn't look exactly this way, under vocabulary, there are a few more choices. They are not relevant for what we're doing right now. So scroll down a little bit so we can see the 3 sliders. 2 out of the 3 are on. So make sure the third one, play sound, is on. Your overlay is set to none. So this is the next item. So tap overlay, choose item numbers. And let's look at the screen, right? We see numbers sprayed across the screen, and hiding before the suggestion is a white microphone on a blue circle. Nahum, if you would just say go home and just test that it's working, give it a shot. Nahum, can you say go home? There you go, and the confirmation is there. While we're at it, why don't you just say swipe left?
Swipe left.
There you go. Well done. All right, I'm taking the screen back. Thank you, Nahum. Okay, so he ended up with the same settings, but if you notice that here on older iOS, vocabulary is a more limited menu. There are more choices in the iOS 16 in addition to other things, but this is changes and updates that voice control has in iOS 16. Here are the most basic commands. I used, I think, almost all of these commands in the video, and Nahum just used a few. So first is microphone control. Go to sleep and wake up. We're just using number to tap. You can also say tap number, you can say the name, but I find that number uses the minimum amount of energy. And it's also the least amount of cognitive load to just pick the number and say it. We used swipe to get around the screen and from one screen to another. And go home is going back to the home screen. The last command here is, I guess, the gateway to learning where all the commands are. There are about 300 voice control commands, and they're in 11 different chapters. The command show commands will open up the page that contains the 11 categories. Here are some neat things about voice control, some neat features. Nothing better than that word neat. So first one, Siri and voice control are independent of one another. If I haven't demonstrated that enough yet, I just want to emphasize that here. That means that Siri can actually be used to turn on the other feature, voice control. And voice control can trigger Siri too. They're separate and distinct. So one can help the other. If one gets stuck, if one isn't working, you can use the other to turn it on. So there are commands. So you can say to Siri, hey Siri, turn on voice control, right? And by the way, voice control is also speaker independent. So anyone can say that. It does not learn your voice. There is a voice control command to trigger Siri. So if Siri is not opening when you say, hey Siri, you can say, in voice control, you can say open Siri and trigger Siri onto the screen. Another neat feature, what if you have an iPad and an iPhone and they're next to each other? When you say go to sleep, they both go to sleep. When you say wake up, they both wake up. So how do you navigate one and not the other? So Apple has been quite smart about this, wanting you to buy both products. And so you can put a specific device to sleep or a specific device to wake up. So here are our example commands. Go to sleep iPad. So if both devices are on and awake, the microphone is on, you can shut the microphone or pause the microphone on the iPad only, right? That's the understood word here, is the only. Or you can say wake up iPhone only is really what you're saying. Another nice thing about voice control is that it does not require an internet connection to run. Once you set it up, it does that little download the first time. It does not require internet to run. And it runs in 8 different languages. In other words, if you set the language, you can give the commands in that language. So it's a good way to learn Spanish or Chinese. There are some limitations to voice control. They're kind of well known. And that is basically while you're on a phone call, while you're on a FaceTime call, your voice control commands will not work. Basically, the microphone temporarily shuts down while on a call and resumes when the call is hung up, right? So, but you can't hang up the call. So you rely on someone else, or you have to rely on a physical activation to hang up the phone call. Now, iOS 16 has supposedly a way for Siri to hang up a phone call. And maybe in the Q&A, we can discuss if anyone has seen this yet. Nachum says his iOS 16 does not have a Siri hang up feature that he can find, but it could be that his phone is older. So you may need a new iOS and you may need a new phone. People often ask, should I switch then to iPhone for voice control since it's free and so easy and so powerful? And the answer that I would say is not necessarily. So first of all, Android phones do have voice access. They have a free program from Google called Voice Access, which is very similar to voice control and can work almost as well as voice control. It has the feature actually of being able to hang up a call. So in some way, it's better than voice control. I think the big difference is that each phone is different in the Android world. And so some features may not work here or there. And there is an overlap with the Siri of Android is the OK Google. So there is a somewhat of an overlap between voice access and OK Google. And if OK Google stops working for some reason, then voice access will not work on Android. So it's a little more temperamental, I would say, and a little bit harder to learn. Also, I would say that it depends on a pal's voice loss progression. That is there already dysarthria? Is there shortness of breath? Is the pal's wearing a respiratory mask, right? These would indicate deterioration of voice intelligibility. And so this may not be the main access method or a long-term solution for the PALs. And so making a change midway, and then you have to learn the new operating system for the phone may not be the best use of your time. In addition, keeping an Android phone or getting an Android phone might give the user more flexibility when it comes to using a speech generating device. You can mirror an Android phone to Windows computers fully. And that's a very, very helpful feature that you cannot do with an iPhone. Here are just some samples of advanced commands. There is a handout that goes along with this presentation. And so the basic and advanced commands will be on that list, but this is just a selection from 300 commands. So the 6 ones that I showed you before, take a look at these. If the helpful numbers somehow disappear, you can bring them back with the show numbers command. Scroll up and down, much like swipe, and scroll to top and bottom. I used to get to the bottom of my album, my gallery, because it was quite long. I got to the bottom of the Bridging Voice webpage because it was long. And then these last 2 commands, open app switcher. So not everybody knows about the app switcher, but it is a display of recently opened apps for quick access. So it's the fastest way usually to get from one app to another, or to close apps that are open that are maybe eating up your memory or battery power. Also, just touching for a moment on text handling. Of the 11 chapters of voice control commands, 4 chapters are dedicated to, excuse me, 4 chapters are dedicated to dictation, and probably the most powerful command of all is to remove all the text from a field with the delete all command.
Eddie, Yike put in some information about the Android phone in regarding to voice commands. Would you like me to read that out of the chat?
Let's wait. We're almost done, so let's wait
Okay.
for the Q&A.
Okay.
One of the reasons is we're going to try to make this video available as a tutorial for setting up voice control. So here are the takeaways. Voice control is easy to set up and easy to use. Voice control won't interfere with finger tapping on the screen or Siri access. You can start voice control as early as you wish. One of the advantages of using voice control is that it frees your hands to be able to do other activities like holding your mouse or keyboarding, and you don't have to switch to hold your phone, pick up your phone, tap on your phone. Bridging Voice can help you with voice control and troubleshooting, and of course, other alternate access questions. And this workshop will be part of our video library, as well as a way to sign up for future trainings will be sent to you. There is one Apple support YouTube video, which is quite good about setting up voice control on iPhone and iPad. It's not, of course, oriented to people with ALS, but it is a very good intro and step-by-step setup as well. So you can go to YouTube and search how to use voice control on iPhone, iPad, and you'll find a very good video. We're now at Q&A, and please, people, practitioners, therapists who are looking for CEUs, take note of the information on the screen. And now we're ready for Q&A, which I hope there will be plenty of.
All right, I have some that I've been keeping in track for you. So before I forget Yike's comment, I'm going to go back. So she said, Android phone does not route an incoming call to the speaker. In iPhone, this is a setting you can choose so that you can talk immediately when receiving a call.
That's correct.
In Android, in Android, you'll have to do some actions to get the speaker to work.
That's true and not true. So using the operating system of Android, you will not find an option to route a call directly to speakerphone. Android's solution is always, there's an app for that, right? So I know of 3 apps that will do exactly that, that will route your calls to speakerphone. The last one that I installed was Vani Dialer, V-A-N-I Dialer. It does actually 2 things. You can set an automatic pickup of the call and route it to speakerphone. So, and there are others. There's Moto Dialer, and there is, I think, Auto Speak, not as a car, but automatic speak. So that's the solution. They work quite well. They're very simple apps. But you're absolutely right that it's not built into the operating system.
All right. Another question was, how do you access the device when the device is locked?
So the best voice control can unlock a phone. In other words, I have programmed, like tapping finger on my password on a particular place, but the easier way to go is actually to use Siri to unlock your phone. So Siri, this is one thing that Siri will do. Siri, you can unlock your phone with your voice. It's a setting within Siri. It's because Siri is specific to your voice. And so there is a way to bypass the password screen or the lock screen with Siri. So you might say, hey Siri, go to home screen. That might be your command. And that will wake up the screen. If voice control is running, you can say wake up. If the microphone is already on, you can continue with voice control. So I would say that, well, just taking a step back, I would try to reduce the security as much as you can, or you're willing to, so that you don't have to tap in password or a PIN to get in. My iPad is a work one, a work iPad, and so I do need to tap in a code. Face ID can be helpful also for logging in. So I haven't had a problem getting past a dark screen or even a locked screen.
All right. Another question is, do you have any solutions for getting around background noise that may be present?
Oh, so this is true for all voice input. right? So you're using a microphone. So I use a wired headset. You can see what I'm wearing, an old style wired headset that goes in ear. And sometimes I will use, just one bud in the ear and one free so that I can be particularly listening to the environment around me. But that brings the microphone much closer to my mouth as opposed to being a foot away or 2 feet away where it's collecting environmental noise. If there is environmental noise and you're trying to dictate, that's trouble no matter what voice input system you're using. I'm trying to think if there are any other solutions. So I would say that the go to sleep command is important there. So you can pause your dictation while you're waiting for things to quiet down, or you can yell at the dog that to stop barking.
Two additions to that, Eddie.
Yes.
Noise canceling microphones could be helpful because they can get rid of a lot of background noise. And voice control can be set into a command and control mode so that it's not listening to just anything you say. It will only recognize the known 300 commands or so. So that could be helpful, that it won't just start typing in the middle of nowhere.
Yes, great. Great additions.
All right, another question. Are you able to adjust the numbers within the voice command for people with low vision?
No. So that's an excellent question. And the only thing you can do with the numbers is not have them fade to gray. So you can, there are two settings. There's the bold black and white, and then after a prescribed amount of time, it will fade in order to be, I think, less obtrusive is the thinking. So if you're not giving commands, the numbers are there, but not so bright. So you can keep them bright, but you can't make them larger, unfortunately. And when you make, some adjustments to the icons, there's a very minimal difference between a larger icon and a smaller icon. The numbers are not much different. So the answer would be no. There is nothing built into voice control. Now, could we figure out a use of magnifier, to go along with voice control? That's something that we could look into for a specific case.
All right. And then another question came up. You touched over this briefly, I believe, but it was, can you use voice control to move between open apps?
Oh, very much so. So first of all, you can do the long way, which I would call it, right? So go back to your home screen and open up the next app, right? So the go home command will take you quickly to your home screen, and then swipe your two screens over so that you can get to YouTube, and then launch YouTube, and that's the app you're running. And so what I'm guessing is the person that asked might not be a great user of App Switcher. So App Switcher, the default App Switcher action gesture is if you pull up with a swipe from the bottom of your screen toward the middle of the screen, just a little bit above the middle, you'll get a display of all the open apps. So I'm doing it on my iPad and I get to about halfway up and then let go. So that's the physical way of bringing up App Switcher. It shows you all the apps that are open. In voice control, you can just say open App Switcher. You can get rid of all that gesture nonsense. And then each app that's been recently opened has a number, and you just say the number of that app. This is also where people swipe away apps in order to close them down, again, to save memory, to save battery, or if something is stuck and you want to restart it. And so the voice control command in that situation, again, it's a swipe up motion. So if an app is number 3 and it has the number 3 next to the app in App Switcher, you would just say swipe up 3, and you whisk away that app and close it.
Great, thank you. All right, how about a big hot tip question that has been posed is, how can you use your speech generating device for voice controls?
Absolutely. So in general, voice control understands our synthesizer voices. I haven't done an exhaustive test, but a cappella voices, are understood quite well. Even the built-in voices in Windows in general are understood. What I have found is, and this is true with Amazon Echo, with Alexa as well, is that getting past the first hurdle is important. So the wake up command sometimes is a little more resistant or reluctant to work. So it would be Alexa, would be, now I'm going to wake up my Alexa. And so sorry, I'm getting back to the screen. So the wake up command may need to be recorded with a human voice, with some force, with some loudness, with some curtness that these devices like. But usually you can just you can fill a screen with numbers 1 through 20 or as many pages as you want to just speak number, just and if the devices are in good proximity, they will understand the synthesizer's saying of numbers. This will not work for dictation. So the synthesizer's dictation will not be that accurate. In other words, if you're trying to type a text message from your synthesizer device into voice control's dictation, you'll find lower accuracy than if you would a natural voice. But so that requires some testing.
All right. And then another question we had is, how does custom commands work?
So custom commands, really fall into two categories. It would be like custom gestures or custom text, that kind of command. So if you have a custom gesture might be a series of tap, 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 tap. So if there's a series of locations on the screen that are tapped in sequence, you can bundle, and those positions are consistent on the screen time after time, then you can bundle those into a custom gesture command. You create a gesture that's not actually unique to voice control. You can create this gesture, you record it, and then you can assign a command to it. So, and then if you have a bundle of text that you want to put in as well, that's also a shortcut, if you will, a keyboard shortcut. You can assign a dictation command in that way. So I was saying before, my passcode, my PIN, is a specific location. It's a specific location, always the same. Actually, it depends if you're in portrait or landscape mode. I created tap my password portrait. I created tap my password landscape to get the 4-button sequence tapped out. And then I can invoke just that single command instead of giving a command for each number that I need to type. So that's what I've used custom commands for. There may be some more robust things to do there.
Trinity, you're on mute.
Still muted, Trinity. I just want to say some people have said that they have had trouble, getting voice control to do things. I have found workarounds for almost everything. Of course, not hanging up a phone call. But my latest nut that I couldn't crack, and maybe somebody else has, I was trying to drag icons from one screen to another on the home screen. So in other words, it's a long press, you edit the home screen, and then all your icons wiggle and they have minus signs on them. And that's when you can drag with a long press to another screen. I couldn't do the whole thing by voice. I can get it into edit, but I couldn't drag it. So I only spent a half hour, maybe an hour would do it. So, but that's the kind, if that's what you want to do, we'll try to figure out why and how.
All right. So those
Esmeralda's
were,
asking about those that can't speak. So I just wanted, Esmeralda is a Bridging Voice client, and I just wanted to reiterate what I said, is that you can have buttons on your speech generating device that speak aloud to the iPad or iPhone and say things like, wake up, go home. And then the numbers, all those basic commands can fit actually on one screen of the speech generating device. And you can basically talk to your iPad or iPhone with voice control in the same way that you might give commands to your Alexa or to your Google Home device. You might do the same thing.
all right, perfect. And Eddie, the last question that we got was about, again, about, it looks like a lot of people are having questions about the background noise. So when voice control is on, there's a text box, the iPad starts capturing any spoken content. Whereas in the past, you had to click their microphone on the keyboard to dictate text. This is becoming an issue in a noisy environment. It's picking up all the voices and not only the user of voice control.
Yes. So this is a problem, and it is a problem not specific to voice control, but to speech input. So I think this is where judicious use of putting the microphone control, what I call good microphone discipline, right? So in general, voice control will not put you into a text box automatically, but there are some exceptions. In Facebook and in text messaging, that can happen. You open up Facebook and it automatically puts you into send a text message. So the first thing you need to do when you get into Facebook or text message, if you know that's going to happen, is go to sleep and then tap. When you wake up, you're going to tap away. You're going to tap away from the text area. Or as Nahum said, you can say, I think it's start command mode, or so that dictation is not occurring, it's just waiting for command. So it won't fill a text field with gobbledygook, or everything that's being said around you, or everything that you're thinking out loud. That said, again, good microphone discipline includes knowing that when it's full, you wait for a quiet moment and then you say, delete all, and then navigate away. That's a good strategy. So you got to keep your wits about you. It's not the end of the world. You haven't sent anything. You can undo, you can scratch that, and you can turn the microphone to sleep mode. So there are ways to, to get control where it seems that it's gone wild. If you need help with that, I can help you with that training as well.